Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. World War II was one of the darkest chapters in human history, a global catastrophe that cost tens of millions of lives. Nothing can ever justify that level of destruction and suffering. But by examining its aftermath, we can understand how humanity, in its effort to prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again, managed to forge some profound and lasting positive changes. This is not about celebrating the war, but about acknowledging the lessons learned from its ashes. First and foremost, the most crucial outcome of World War II was the defeat of fascism and Nazism. The aggressive, expansionist regimes of Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Imperial Japan were dismantled. Their ideologies of racial supremacy and their machinery of genocide were stopped. The world witnessed the horrors of the Holocaust and learned a terrifying lesson about the dangers of unchecked authoritarianism and hatred. This global rejection of fascism became a cornerstone of the New World Order. In the wake of the war, world leaders were determined to create structures that could prevent another global conflict. This led to the birth of major international institutions. The United Nations was established to promote peace, security, and human rights. Alongside it, organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank were created to foster economic stability and cooperation. These bodies provided a framework for diplomacy, peacekeeping, and global development that, while imperfect, has been essential for the past 75 years. The sheer brutality of the war also ignited a global movement for human rights. The atrocities committed forced the world to define what it means to be human and what rights are universal. In 1948, the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a landmark document setting out fundamental freedoms for all people. The Nuremberg trials established a powerful precedent. Leaders and nations could be held accountable for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Genocide became recognized as the ultimate international crime. Beyond politics and law, the war spurred an incredible surge in scientific and technological advancement. The desperate need for an edge on the battlefield accelerated innovation at a pace never seen before. Radar systems, jet engines, and the very first electronic computers were developed. Medical breakthroughs were equally astonishing. The mass production of penicillin saved countless lives and ushered in the age of antibiotics. And of course, the development of nuclear energy and rocketry, while born from military ambition, laid the groundwork for the atomic age and the space race. These innovations reshaped our world, from modern aviation to the digital devices we use every day. Economically, the war was transformative. The massive demand for wartime production modernized factories and streamlined manufacturing processes. The United States, with its industrial base intact and booming, emerged as the world's dominant economic superpower. In Europe, the Marshall Plan funded a remarkable post-war recovery, rebuilding nations and fostering decades of unprecedented economic growth, often called the post-war economic miracle. Even Japan, after its defeat, would rise to become an economic powerhouse. The war also dramatically weakened the old colonial empires. European powers like Britain and France, exhausted by the conflict, could no longer maintain their vast overseas territories. Inspired by the war's rhetoric of freedom and self-determination, independence movements across Africa and Asia gained momentum. In the decades following 1945, dozens of nations threw off the yoke of colonialism and gained their sovereignty, forever changing the map of the world. And in the very nations that had started the war, a surprising transformation took place. Germany and Japan, under Allied occupation, were rebuilt as stable democracies. Their new constitutions often included clauses renouncing war as an instrument of national policy. These former aggressors became peaceful, productive members of the international community and key global partners, a testament to the power of reconstruction and reconciliation. Social structures were also shaken up, particularly when it came to the role of women. With millions of men away fighting, women stepped into factories, fields, and even military support roles on an unprecedented scale. Rosie the Riveter became a symbol of a new era of female capability and independence. While many women returned to domestic roles after the war, the genie was out of the bottle. The experience permanently shifted perceptions of gender roles and laid a crucial foundation for the women's rights movements that would flourish in the coming decades. Perhaps the most profound, yet intangible, consequence was a shift in global consciousness. The shared trauma of total war, the bombing of cities, the targeting of civilians, and the industrial-scale horror of genocide created a powerful never-again mentality. This collective memory has served as a moral bulwark against the kind of total warfare that defined the first half of the 20th century. All these threads came together to weave the fabric of our modern global order. The post-war world was largely defined by the Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, leading to the formation of alliances like NATO. But it also established a system where large-scale direct wars between major powers have been avoided. Constant diplomacy, for all its challenges, became the norm. So, when we look back at World War II, it's essential to hold two thoughts at once. It was an unparalleled disaster born of humanity's worst impulses. Yet, in its aftermath, humanity also showed its capacity for growth, learning, and cooperation. The benefits we've discussed were not gifts of the war. They were hard-won lessons paid for with an unimaginable price in human lives. The true legacy of that era is the ongoing responsibility to uphold the principles of peace, human rights, and international cooperation that were forged in its fires. Thank you for watching. If you found this perspective valuable, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more deep dives into history. See you next time.